Hope you're doing wonderfully today. My name is Matt. I'm going to be guiding you through today's subject, which is obviously on Sage 50 accounts. I'm going to be looking at the VAT return, step 1 and 2. So preparing and reconciling. And the important part of that slide is with ease, as you can see in front of you. So what we're going to be looking at specifically, well, I'm going to go through a little bit of an introduction, and then we're going to head straight into demonstrations, which you can see in front of your screen there. Preparing the VAT and reconciling. I'm going to show a bit of manual and a bit of wizard to help you out with these processes. I'm going to say this now, this is a very easy process for you once you know how to do it. If you've never done this before, or you've never had any tuition on doing this before, and you've tried to tackle it on your own, it can be quite daunting because you don't want to be making any mistakes, and all those kind of thoughts run through your head, don't they? Of, oh, have I clicked the right thing? Is that it done? Once you see me walk through the process with you and show you the mechanics of the process itself, hopefully you'll see how easy this is. And we're going to look at part 1 today, which consists of 1 and 2, which is preparing and reconciling. And then on Friday, we're going to look at VAT 2, which is submitting your VAT return. And then at the end, once we've done those demonstrations, further support and questions, as always. Now, on the subject of questions, if you've been here before, you'll know the rules. If not, these are the rules. So your microphone is muted automatically. So if you cough or sneeze, don't worry. You're not going to interject anything that we do here today. You won't be interrupted. If you do have any questions, that speech bubble with the question mark is there for you. Please submit them. Now, I am here on my own today. There's no support in the background. So any questions I'll be answering verbally. So they won't be written, so you may not see the questions that people are asking, and that's because I'm not going to be typing at the same time. Now, if there is a question that I cannot answer, I will be in contact with you directly after the webinar once I have the answer for you. It's quite a busy session today, though, so thank you for your patience in advance on that one. I'm just going to be verbally answering what I can. Also, we have made a copy of today's slides for you. Now, it doesn't include the housekeeping slide or the welcome slide, anything like that at all. It's just the main slides that you need to have a look at. There is a colour version and a black and white version as well. If I'm honest with you, you're going to get more use out of the demonstration than you are out of the slides, but have them there just in case. You're also going to get a copy of this webinar sent to you an hour after it is concluded, and it's going to be emailed across to you, so you can rewatch it. If you don't mind my voice, you can listen to it like an audiobook, if so be it. But yes, don't worry, we've got you covered when it comes to resources. Now, on the handout as well, there's clickable links to different Help Centre articles. It's always worth downloading, even if you never use it. So what demonstrations we're looking at? Well, as I stated before, preparing the VAT return and reconciling the VAT return. The two major things, again, quite simple processes. This is scheduled for, I think it's half an hour. We may take less than that to go through this webinar, if I'm honest with you. So I will be able to try and field as many questions as I possibly can. Before we head into the demonstrations, an example of the differences that we have between the Irish VAT and the UK VAT. Now today for the demonstrations, I'm going to be using the UK version of the software itself, which is demonstrated on the left-hand side. If you are from Ireland, hello, on the right-hand side, that's what you'll probably see. There is going to be differences throughout. So if you are opening your demonstration data, which I encourage you to do so, or your practice data, which again, I encourage you to do so, and you're going to be clicking along with me today. If you are in the UK, you'll see what I see. Obviously different company names, different values, etc. If you are in Ireland, you're going to see something a little bit different. But again, the mechanics are all the same, so fear not. But if you can click along, please do so. If not, you can do that when you receive the recording later on as well, if you just want to sit down and enjoy the demonstration as it is. I've talked at you all there for 4 minutes. I've mentioned demonstration, I don't know how many times, now you can see it on your screen in front of you. I think it's best that we start the demonstration, isn't it? So, this is my Sage 50 account. And as you can see, I have created a specific set of data for this webinar, which is demo VAT return. If you want to use your demonstration data, you can go to File, Open, and then Open Demo Data. And you'll be able to click along in there, break it as much as you want. Demonstration data does not matter. But for this, I'm going to use a particular set of data, just so I can give you some examples. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to have a look at the left-hand side of the list of modules that we have there, and you'll see underneath the module, nominal code, sorry, VAT. I'm going to click on that. Now, this will show you where your VAT returns live. Now, in Ireland, you may also see your VAT return, RTD, so not just VAT returns for Ireland. And then in the UK, you might also see your ECC returns, but they tend to be obsolete since Brexit. It's quite legacy. So just in case you have opened up your company data and you thought, what's that? That's what they are. The main thing that we're looking at is the VAT return here. And you can see it's in 3 different columns. Now, one thing I do want to point out for you all here as a bit of a tip is you'll see that my VAT returns start at 3, 4, and 5. Matt, where's 1 and 2, you may ask? Well, 1 and 2 have been deleted. You can't get them back. The reason I'm showing you this is in case you are missing a VAT return or you're missing some information, one of the big first points of investigation I usually do is list the return numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if you can see that a number's missing, therein may be the problem. So that's just a tip for you. If you do delete the VAT return, it doesn't renumber itself, it's just gone. So the next one that I create is going to be 6, unless I've deleted 6, and obviously then it will be 7, etc. Next to that, you've got the type, which is the VAT return. And then next to that, you've got the period in which it covers. Now, again, forgive me, the set of data isn't brand new when it comes to dates, but these are kind of irrelevant. This is just going to show you the sequence of what we're going to be doing things. The amount, has it been submitted, has it been paid, and has the VAT been transferred? Again, we'll touch on this in part 2 on Friday. For now, we're going to be focusing on just getting the VAT return up to reconciliation. So, VAT return button, top left-hand side here. Again, a really common question that we get is when I click on VAT return, it's populated with the VAT return. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed what I did there, and trust me, I did do this on purpose. The reason it's opened up a VAT return and not a fresh blank page is because I'd highlighted a VAT return. If I've got many selected, for example, if it's a long list, and I open up VAT return, it's going to tell me that I can only view one at a time, so it's a clear indicator that I have highlighted one. However, if I've been scrolling through and I've just highlighted one and I go to create a new VAT return, it's just going to open that one. Very popular call, that one, for the tech team. Here's another tip for you. Click swap, clear. Swap will highlight everything, clear will unhighlight everything. So with nothing highlighted, I can then click on VAT return. And this is a nice, fresh, blank VAT return for me to complete. Now let's just get used to this screen that we're seeing in front of us. You see VAT return at the top here, and it's got the stages 1, 2, and 3 running across the top as well. In the top left, you'll see backup. Every single person on the webinar team mentions this word countless times throughout the week, be it Laura, be it Michael, be it Abby, be it myself. Backup, backup, backup. Especially before you do anything major processing wise in the program, create that insurance policy, create that saved point you can return to. Now, I'm going to eat crow on that one for a bit because it says here that my last backup and this data was run on the 28th of May 2025. That's not very good. It's almost 5 months ago. So the reason the importance of running that backup at this stage is written here right in front of you. You cannot reverse the VAT reconciliation process. Strongly recommend you back up before proceeding. So why not? Again, I'm going to do this for you now because I have a small data set, so I'm fine. I'm going to be looking at data files, and what I might do here, okay, is I might put pre-VAT return, save it to my desktop or OneDrive, wherever I do save it, okay? The reason I'll do that is because if anything does go wrong, I can get back to this point. I can find it quite easily. So I'll just click OK. It's going to ask me to check the data. We want to make sure that there's no errors. We want to make sure that all the numbers are going to be put in the correct places. And then once the error check is complete and the backup is successful, we click OK. And there you go. So now if we do make a human error mistake, we can just resort back. Because again, once you've reconciled your VAT return, there is no returning. You have to unpick what you've done rather than just returning to that save point. So after we've done the backup, I've now relaxed. I can crack on with what I'm going to be doing. Now, this is the date range. Now, this is completely up to you. Obviously, there are rules to this because HMRC have an obligation period, which means you are obliged to complete a VAT return in a certain period of time. But you've got kind of free reign on what you do here. You can use a custom range. So you could go from the 1st of January 2024 all the way up to the 30th of September 2025, or just use whole months, which is probably the most popular version. Now, as my last VAT return is indicated to be up until the 31st of December 2023, I'm going to look at January, and I'm going to do 3 months up until March. This helps me here underneath. 1st of the 1st 24 to the 31st of March 2024, and it tells me parentheses 3 months, close parentheses. Now, this little tick box here, it's an interesting little tick box, because let's say you've done a VAT return and you've reconciled, and then you realise you've done the wrong date range. You've only done it for 2 months instead of the 3. So you need to rerun that VAT return and include the reconciled transactions of the 2 months that you originally did. But you're adding a 3rd month, aren't you? So you would click in, include reconciled transactions, same date range, but then obviously you would just extend it by that 1 month. So let's break that down. Let's say I ran this for January to February, reconciled. I can't unreconcile. I didn't take a backup. Then I would rerun my VAT return from January until March, adding that extra month, and I would put a little tick in that include reconcile transactions box. What I would urge you to do, though, is speak to a technician before you do that. Because if you've done any delayed posting, late posting, or anything else at all that could affect a VAT return, that is going to muddy the numbers for you. So in essence, what I'm trying to put across is don't use that button until you've spoke to us, because you may make things worse by accident. Now, the easiest thing to do is just take a backup, because then if you have done the January to February mistake, just restore back to the backup and start again. Simple process to do. So that's what that button is for there. If you click on the green, it just underlines that for you. So if you select this checkbox, the values in your VAT return include transactions which have already been reconciled up into this date range. So please contact us before you use that. If not, it could be a bit like Hansel and Gretel, but without the breadcrumbs. Now, we're happy that we've backed up. We're happy with the date range that we've done here. Underneath here, we've got VAT verification. So 8 checks run automatically to analyze your transactions and check their accuracy. Let's have a look inside this window. So this is where you get a little menu of things that you want Sage to look out for. Okay, that's like a little fishing net of things that you want to capture before submission of your VAT return. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at the first option here. Duplicate entries. Let's say that we run a subscription service and we have 1,000 customers all paying $4.99 a month for a service. If I've got a tick in this box to identify possible duplicate transactions, those 1,000 transactions, Sage is going to catch them and it's going to show us them in the next screen. It's going to say, do you want to have a look at these? You've asked Sage to find duplicate transactions. We've found 1,000 transactions that all look the same. Do you want to check them? So in this instance, if you do have that kind of subscription service, you may want to untick that box. Otherwise, you're going to be wading through potential, pages and pages of, oh, is that wrong if it's not? If you don't tend to have transactions of that nature, then again, what you might want to do is just leave a tick in that box, because then it'll flag up if you've got dual processing, for example, and 2 people have put the same transaction in unknowingly, then you're going to be VAT twice on there. That button, if it's a tick in it, will potentially stop that from happening because it will be flagged to you. The same goes for the rest of them. They're all here for Sage to flag and be a net to catch the potential issues that you have. In Ireland, in this box here under other potential issues, VAT rate, you may see different percentages, etc. Also, tax codes. This is a good one. So if you are processing hurriedly, quickly is a better word I should use, or horridly, I nearly said, then what you may find is that a tax code is put in wrong. So instead of T1, they've scrolled and T2 has been selected, etc. So this little warning here: identify sales and purchase transactions not using your most common tax code specified below. So T1. So anything that isn't a T1, it's unusual. I'm telling Sage. So Sage is going to show me these transactions once I have calculated. So another good thing about this is it being a menu, you get to pick which ones you want it to use. You can select all, you can deselect all. It's completely up to you about how you process and what exactly. This is very unique. So the person sat next to you may not do or have selected what you would have selected. I'm just going to leave this all ticked because I want to show you the next screen. But again, be selective if you want to. There's no harm in not. You would click OK once you're happy with these selections, though. Now, to the right-hand side here, there's nothing. And that's because we haven't calculated anything, because that's where this button comes in here. Calculate VAT return. So I'm going to click on exactly what I just said there. And here we go. VAT return, earlier unreconciled transactions. So 49 transactions have been found for this VAT return. So that's within the date period that I set, Jan to March. 2 of these transactions are unreconciled and before the 1st January 2024. So this is an interesting screen. Sometimes, as a tech, I would speak to some accountants or some customers, and this page would be absolutely full, and it shouldn't be. Because in a perfect world, anything that is in this screen should have been investigated and addressed. So I'm given transaction numbers to look at here, and I'm given what the transactions are. Now I know through experience these have been added late postings into the same period. But for the sake of this demonstration, what I might want to do is click print and it will issue me with a report, or my favorite is to Excel. So if you do have Excel, obviously to Excel is going to be the better option. What this does, it creates an Excel sheet of the transactions that you can investigate. So I would have this open on a different screen and I would say, okay, so transaction 2381, I need to have a look at that. What I would do is I would close this down, and I'm going to show you how quickly this can be done. Close everything out of here. I will lose the progress that I've made so far, but I'm okay with that because nothing has been reconciled or anything at all. And I would head to my transactions and I would use my spreadsheet. So I'm looking for transaction 2381. Type it up at the top here. And there it is. And look at that. It was posted in April. So this has been posted back into the period. So it's a late posting, which is why it wasn't reconciled. So I know through this that should be included. So what'll I do? I'll just cover it green. This is just tips, by the way. You don't have to do this. And then 2382. So looking for me, it's right next to it. And again, it's a late posting. So what'll I do? I cover it green to be included. Now you may have a lot of transactions in that list. You may not have, but let's say you find one that shouldn't be there. What I would do is I haven't got time to do it in this webinar because it's a totally different webinar to correction. It's a transaction correction. Just get that transaction corrected, be it delete, counter post, whatever it might be that you need to do to make that transaction correct. Once it is correct, and let's say we've got rid of all of those red lines and we've only got the green lines left, it means do the VAT return again. I've already backed up, so I'm okay. Remember, I was going until March 24, 3 months. Quickly check the VAT setting, verification settings. Yes, everything is still ticked. I'm happy with that. Calculate VAT return, and I'm back to this screen again, but this time I know to include these transactions. Now, if you don't have the time to do the investigations or you're not too concerned, for whatever reason it may be, I can't think of a reasonable one if I'm honest with you, you can click ignore and it'll just ignore whatever's in this list. I can't include one transaction and then ignore another. So this list does need to be dealt with, because anything we ignore is all, anything we include is included. So this is an all or nothing page, this. That's why send to Excel and then do your investigating. But for these, I know they're correct, so I'm going to include. And they will now be included in my VAT, which has been calculated. Yours may take a little bit longer because you may have a larger data set. I appreciate that. But because mine isn't, we can go straight through. So as you'll see, we've been moved along the stages from 1 to 2. And now we're at reconcile VAT return. We're at that point where we're nearly ready to reconcile. We've just got a few things that we need to do. So first things first, remember the menu that we said. The 8 different choices, the verifications with the duplicate potentials. We can view the results. We can see what the net has caught. So we click on view results here. You can see there was no duplicate transactions. Phew, fantastic. However, there was one invoice or credit which has not been updated, and it lets me view. So I'll click on view. I'll have a quick look. This hasn't been updated to ledgers, so I'm fine with that. Again, if you've got a lot, click to Excel. I'll show you what it looks like. If you click print, it does take you to this kind of printy box, depending on what you're doing. That's why I prefer to use Excel, because you've got more ownership over the cells, haven't you, the rows. But no, I'm fine with that. So again, it's just an amber warning. And this one, purchase order, again, not updated. Might not receive an invoice for it, either or, but I know that it should be there. So it hasn't been invoiced, that one. But yes, it should be included. Nothing to report. And again, 2 sales and purchase transactions not using your most commonly used tax code. Well, let's have a look here. Then has anybody made a mistake? I could check the tax code here. No, they are correct. If they were incorrect, let's say they should be on T1, to Excel, close, go to transactions, edit the transaction to T1, whatever you need to do, whatever the correction is. And then when you come back to this screen, all the way through the process again, these won't be here. Hopefully that's making sense. With no questions so far, so usually that's a good sign that this is landing. If it's not, honestly, speak up. I'll be able to answer the questions for you. But yes, we're happy. Everything on here is as it should be. So I click close. Now, this section here, the adjustments, again, you've got to try and figure out, is it worth using this button, or is it worth coming out of the VAT return and making the adjustment before you run the VAT return? This is completely up to you. So if you click on make an adjustment here, you could, let's say, I've been told that I've got to make an adjustment on my VAT due in the period on sales and other outputs. HMRC have told me. I've received an email or a letter. They're usually a brown envelope, aren't they? I could put here letter from HMRC adjustment, and then I would put £100, click save, and it's made a manual adjustment for me right in there. But I could do any of these adjustments if needed be, but I would just obviously have to make it correct, and it has to reflect real life. So again, check these boxes 1 through 9. Again, in Ireland, you'll see a different set of boxes. Check them all. If you need to make adjustments manually, you can do. But if the adjustment can be made by editing a transaction, you've got to weigh up, is it better to edit the transaction and then do the VAT return, or is it better to post the adjustment? Again, I can't advise you on that. It's up to you. Just food for thought. So you might think, well, how am I going to remember that? Easy. Take a screenshot or attach the email to your attachment section here. You don't have to do it right now if you're in a rush, or you haven't got time to look for it, or maybe it's on Brian or Stacey's PC. The screenshot, you can add it later on, but this is where you would add it initially. A copy of that letter. That won't get sent to HMRC. That's for your records, by the way. So you just click OK, cancel out of that. I'm not going to do that this time. So there are your adjustments, pretty self-explanatory. So we've verified the results, we've made the adjustment, that we've made. We've obviously just created it in this instance. Then we could do print VAT return. So this, again, is going to give us options of what we want. Sorry, my screen keeps flickering there. My mouse keeps letting go of what I'm trying to drag across. So the VAT return here, what do we want to include? Summary, detailed adjustments. This is a menu for you. Now, on the subject of rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, what, again, I would potentially do here, create a folder on your PC, your desktop, or wherever you feel comfortable, and just print all of them. Just review all of them. Because then what you can do is you can drag each report into that folder. And if you ever asked a question, you've got the answer at your fingertips there, rather than going through your Sage 50, finding the VAT return and running reports on. You can say, oh, well, I've got that on my desktop from 2016. What's the adjustments made there? You can say, oh, well, I ran that report. So that's just a little tip that you don't have to do, but it's a good one. Just have little files and folders where you can store all this information. Again, you may never need them. You may never view them. But that one chance that you do need them, boom, they're there. In this instance, I'm just going to run one just for the sake of speed. And that's what it would look like, VAT return. Nice and simple. We've all seen those before. Now, let's say that you're not overwhelmed, underwhelmed, or anything with any of these numbers, and you want to have a look at them to find out what's been going on. On the right-hand side, before you reconcile, there is your opportunity to delve into these nominal codes and find out, and these tax codes, and find out what's been going on. So here you've got your T0, you can see majoritively T1 has been posted, and what you can do is double click into that T1, that sales invoice is there, and it'll show you what the sales invoices are, the details of them, the dates, transaction numbers, the accounts, so 4,000 for sales. Again, if you're not happy with any of these numbers or anything that you see here, send it to Excel. Once you've sent it to Excel, you can exit out of what you've done. Everything that you've done will be deleted, but there is your spreadsheet to work through if needs be. Oh, that's incorrect. Oh, this one needs to be looked at. You get the gist with that. But yeah, that to Excel button is marvelous to use. The summation is all below, but you can do that on any of these boxes, unless they're grayed out, obviously, because that's just a repeat box, and so is that. So, any investigations needed, they can be done. Box 7, what's it for? T5, tax code. What was that transaction? It was for goods, it was for 1,000. Ah, there we are. So again, nice and simple processes for you here. So we've prepared the VAT return, we've calculated it, we've investigated everything that we need to investigate, we've double checked these numbers and we're satisfied that they are correct. We've looked at the verification results, we've made adjustments that we need to make, we've printed the reports that we need. We're at that stage where we're ready to reconcile. Now, once you click the reconcile button, it will not let you go back. Okay, so this is again harping on the importance of taking that back up right at the start. So once I click reconcile, it will tell. We've noticed you've made an adjustment. We haven't attached any supporting documents. We recommend you do this now. Alternatively, you can add attachments later. So I said that was the first instance. This is the second instance where you can add an attachment. Again, Brian and Stacey are out on the lunch. I can't get to that email. So I'm going to click no. Don't want to do it now. And then it's going to say flag transactions as VAT reconciled. So you cannot reverse the VAT reconciliation process. We strongly recommend you back up before proceeding. Do you wish to continue? Well, we have backed up, haven't we? Right at the start. Do we wish to continue? Yes. And there we are. The clue is there. Reconciled in big bold letters right at the top. Capitals. All reconciled. And again, you can still investigate and view numbers here, but I'm going to go through this page on Friday because there's more to it than meets the eye, and there's more kind of a process to this section. So this was really kind of a look at what you can potentially do in the first two stages. Third stage, we'll be hyper focusing on Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock. But you can always revert back. Now, remember to register for Friday, 2 o'clock, using our website, www.sage.co.uk/webinars. So if you've seen stage one, you'll obviously want to see stage two, where we put the cherry on the ice cream. Going to close out of that now, and you'll see it's created return number 6, the date range, and pending. Again, more on all of this on Friday. But that is stages 1 and 2. And what I'll do, show you how easy it is once you're used to doing it. If you've been doing this in demonstration data, VAT return, remember, oops, brought up 1 because that's highlighted, so clear, swap clear, VAT return, back up, set the date range, calculate VAT, I'll just click it for the sake of it. It moves us on, view results, that's how quick this process can be. The only time it's going to be a bit slower for you is if you need to do some investigation as to what transactions have been put where and why. And that largely, I must say, is on the way that you process and on the way that you do things there. We can't influence that. But if you speak to a technician, they potentially can remote in and have a dig around with you and look, where things potentially have gone wayward. But what I would urge is for you to do that, speak to a technician before you include this reconciled transactions, because any delayed postings will appear in it as well, and it'll give you incorrect figures in this right-hand side. So it's needle in a haystack time after that's happened. The quickest thing to do is restore that back up. Superb. So back to the slides. And we're just going to go through some of the differences that you might have seen as we waltzed through that demonstration. So left-hand side UK, right-hand side Ireland, as you can see, more boxes on the right-hand side there. Similar other than that. Again, the differences here, as I highlighted, would be the amounts. Wording tends to be typically the same, other than on this screen here, where total goods to other EU countries, etc. Again, Brexit influenced, but more boxes in Ireland as well. And then when you're completing the VAT return, again, you may see some subtle differences from left to right. These are important for people who are doing dual processing for UK and Ireland. There are some customers we have out there that do process for both nations. So these are the differences that you'll see, but the mechanics are all the same, I can assure you on that. So for further help, these are clickable links. Great Britain, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, there are your guides for VAT, and that's on the Help Centre, manage your VAT. Again, if you just get the handout, click straight there, you don't have to search. But we've got time for a few questions if anybody wants to fire any in. Any questions at all? While you're typing away your questions, I'm going to show you how to grow your knowledge. So we do have our one-to-one bespoke training sessions with our enablement team. They are back, and they log into your PCs on a one-to-one or 1-to-3. I think they go up to 4 or 5 it is session. And not like a webinar I'm hosting today, it is a tutorage session. It's more specific to how you process. If you want things set up in a particular way, they will show you how to do that. These guys are the experts at processing. They do it in hour block sessions, including but not restricted to the topics that you see on your screen: stock control, CIS, banking, debtors and creditors, etc. But backed by popular demand, give them an email if you do want one of our guys to remote into your PC and basically help you use your Sage 50 better, give you some tips and tricks as well. I must admit there is absolutely 0 questions, which must mean that I've answered absolutely everything that was on your mind when you registered for this webinar. Oh, no, last minute here about the backup. Excellent question come in. Yes, Simon, really good point that one is. So I expect you need to upload the backup quite quickly, because if you take 2 days, I expect everybody else's transactions for 2 days will be lost. Correct. So if people are still processing and you on a Monday decide, oh, I'll just do that on a Friday, you're going to lose Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So absolutely correct there. As soon as you realize that you need to restore the backup, restore it then and there. Preferably you have nobody logged into the system anyway while you're doing your VAT, because you don't want any kind of miscalculations or anything like that at all. And depending on how much data you have, I do concede that it can take a while, depending on your setup as well with your PCs, internet speed, etc. But again, that's just managing that expectation. But that's a really good point. If you do need to restore that backup, restore it. And a good question here, can you complete the VAT in Ireland, or is it Sage, just to give you your figures and you manually put these into revenue? Correct. So in the UK, you can submit via your Sage software, which we're going to be running through tomorrow. Ireland, it's still the same, where you have to do it manually through ROS. I don't have any updates on when or if that would be changing, if I'm honest with you. But as soon as it is, obviously we'll be shouting it from the rooftops if that becomes legislation. But at the moment, yes. But we'll be going into that more detail on Friday as well, John. But that's another good thing to point out. So thank you for raising that. So with Sage UK 50, you can do the whole process within your software. In Ireland, you do still have to do some manual parts with the files, but we'll show that again on Friday in more detail. But it's a good point, well made, John. So yeah, superb. Brilliant. That was the last of the questions. So thank you very much, guys, for your years in attendance today. It's been a good session, quite a busy one as well. So thank you again for your attendance at New Year's and your patience throughout. Please complete the survey as you leave, what you like, what you didn't like, what worked well for you. We always try and improve these things, and it means a lot to us. We read absolutely every single comment, and believe it or not, when we receive them, because it's how we focus what we're going to be doing next. If you've got a recommendation for a webinar, it gets built and done for you. We once got asked to do data management, so I went away and built a data management webinar. That's how we do things here. So we always value the feedback. It's how we grow. So if you could fill that in for me, that'd be wonderful. Other than that, I'm going to give you 8 minutes back of your time. If you're allowed, go and make a cup of tea. If you're not, make a sneaky one. You'll be absolutely fine. But I'm going to leave you to your days. Thank you again for your attendance, and I hope to see everybody on Friday. Speak soon. Bye for now.